Are we on? Okay, we are right. All
I
right,
know.
I'm gonna call the order. I'm gonna call the order meeting Administration Legal Affairs Committee, Wednesday, September 11th, 2024 at 5 p.m. Prayer 2.0. Any interested? All right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for a beautiful day and the opportunity to serve the people of this county. We just ask you to help us navigate through this agenda and make good quality decisions and regarding the budget and everything else. And we just thank you for your guidance. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. 3.0 approval of agenda. So
Title effect.
all right, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yes, thank you. 4.0 approval of meeting minutes from the August 7th, 2024 meeting.
I so move.
Second. Okay. Discussion otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And 5.0 approval of claims. For me, I have total of $73,795.29. Seems in order there. And I'm gonna make a motion. I'll second it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Discussion, no. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 6.0 public comments. Do not see anybody else here. We will keep moving. 7.0 departmental reports. 7.1 county treasurer.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, so I passed around the report that looks like this. It's two-sided, very similar to the previous month. The only real claim that I had was $16.35, but because there's probably a claim in there for reimbursement to my collector account for those Empower Health screenings, I wanted to put that on there, but that actually came from the insurance fund.
Sure.
So financial reports, this was sent Monday morning. Hopefully you've had a chance to review it. Again, really good news. County funds were up month over month by 2.83 million. So really happy about that. And that was when there were no matured investments either during the month, but I did, place a lot more money into investment vehicles in August, anticipating the rate cut that's coming. So we have 22 different investments representing 15 different county funds. So those mature anywhere from last Friday into February of 25. So just trying to ladder as much as I can so that we can capture as much interest as possible as long as we can. So that's really, I'm not really going into a lot of detail because I trust that you all look at it. And if there was something that I thought was, hey, we need to talk about, then we would. But the news is really good for the most part, except for that one particular fund. So any questions about anything you've seen on that report?
At the bottom of page 2, we got 903,000 basically for outstanding debt.
Yes.
That's about where it's been, right?
Yes, it is a little bit less right now. I think we're like at, if I were to write some checks right now, it would be about 860.
Okay.
So, but there were some claims pulled by one of the facility pulled some claims from one of the staffing agencies. There were some questions about documentation for their hours. That was a pretty substantial one, and like around $50,000. So I think you definitely want to get that right.
Right.
So that we're
Okay.
waiting on that one. So it's in a kind of just a holding pattern,
Okay.
right?
I was hoping that might come down a little bit if they get their,
Right.
their budget here from the
Yeah.
taxes.
And one of the things I'll talk about next, we look at the
Sure.
tax distribution. They did get another $25,000 Friday. So that's ready for me to use to start, to pay some of those bills. Anything else on the financial report front? Okay, so we'll skip ahead to more good news on the backside. If you want to talk about that, we'll talk about the property tax distribution. This one was a small one, 4 million. I mean, relatively speaking, that's small. The county's portion was about 548,000 of that total. As of yesterday, we have collected over 82% of outstanding taxes due. And that just means that I have in my hands and posted last night. So, but we get mail like crazy every day. The banks have collected quite a bit. So that number is, at least $1 million higher than that, which is really, really good, I think. And so distributed to the county, which is most important, distributed is in hand is over 64%. So the next distribution on October 4th should be a pretty good one as well. Not the biggest, we've had the biggest, but the next one should be really good. Really, in terms of amount of money, so that'll be good for everybody. I just want to also, if you look at the bottom of the page, you can see Mill Race. I include that because it is its own taxing district. You can see that we are waiting on another 116,000 there. I don't anticipate any issues collecting all. In terms of the actual collection of taxes, I have to say, and I don't know if the assessor and the clerk can concur, but people have been much, much, much nicer. So as a result, we will not be utilizing the reserve deputies because the next due date is in 2 days. So, but we are gonna have kittens again. So
I'm not bringing it
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
More kittens.
All right, I'll be in tomorrow.
We need to get them adopted. So, we're taking advantage again of that foot traffic in to turn the temperature down because kittens, right?
Mhm.
So that's our plan, kittens. Yeah, so again, I already mentioned next distribution date is the 4th. The one other thing I did want to mention, and I mentioned it briefly last month, is the seal bid auction of the surplus properties that the county conducts every year. And I have to tell you, I didn't expect anything because the city, we pulled several out, 10 of them, I believe, for the city because they were on our demo list. We sold 18 parcels. I was shocked because they're all but one vacant lots. One of them went as for the highest bid was $2,511, which is actually on Alfalfa Way in the Dakota School District, so not entirely surprising. Potential to be developed, but we had several that were at the minimum bid of $835, but 18 parcels, including 2 lots in Somerset. So I think that's a shockingly good news. So I'm happy about that. So yeah, so these buyers then, kind of as a thank you for doing this, again, they get that 1 year tax exemption. So hopefully then now they're all in the hands of responsible property owners. We'll be back on the tax rolls and everybody wins.
Yeah, that's good. Exciting part.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I think that's all I have.
All right, good to know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. All right, 7.2 county clerk.
Starts September 26th.
When? I'm sorry, when?
September 26th. So, going into that, the postcards, the permanent vote by mail postcards we had sent out, we are still getting some back and we're getting down to less than 50 a day. When we get those back undelivered, we have to send them an R26 then. So that process is still going on. We just had a training yesterday with Grant on how we can be accessible, not only in our polling location downstairs, but have some of the polling locations out and how we can use accessible language. Some of it's things that I want to know, but I was able to learn some new terms, so appreciated that training. You'll see later on the polling place accessibility grant, but in order to get the grant, even if the state grants it to us, we have to submit the survey for each polling location. So it's a 15-page survey for each location that was completed this month.
Okay, good.
So that took some time on our end. I'll go into the budget later on, but does anyone have any questions regarding the upcoming November election or even the consolidated elections?
There's one, we got everything done you needed. Well, sure.
Yes, thank you. Nate, Mike, and Three Rock had helped. We got a grant to get a new server, and as part of that server, it just has elections solely on that server to help with security. So thank you, Nate. and Richie.
No, that's fine. All the projects run together.
Good job.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are you set now with election judges?
We do have enough election judges, and we are still getting interest in people being election judges, so we are still trying to do training in the case we need an alternate.
Okay.
People can drop out. I say we're good, but people drop out 1-2 days
Yeah,
after
you
the
know,
elections.
sure. Something happens to you. Okay, all right. Let's move on. 7.3 supervisor of assessments.
You did not get a report from me because I can honestly say my office has been the quietest it's ever been. Since first installment has been over to second installment. I've only had to do 3 C of E's. I've never seen that. So I am so happy that obviously we're getting the information to people and they understand what they can apply for and different things. So I hope in the next 2 days that pattern sticks with it. The only other thing is we in the assessments office, because the senior freeze used to have a notary, and now we're trying to get, because we had some issues with some of our rental properties where landlords were sharing tenants, like they were trying to get it from, like I have John Doe and I also have John Doe. Well, no, you can't do that. So the state has allowed us to have them have their signatures notarized. So we will be implementing that in 2025. But anyway, the state of Illinois now requires you to take a 4-hour class in order to become a notary. So that's what the 3 of us have been doing. So to finish mine, my other 2 employees have finished theirs. So we staggered them. So when the commission's done, then somebody at least in the office will have that. So since we had a little downtime, that's what we're doing. Next month, you will get a report from me because the report is supposed to have their values into me. So then my office will take the role of being business.
Okay. That's good. Thank you. 7.4, county administrator.
The chairman and I have scheduled the meeting with the city on Monday that was canceled by the city late Sunday. I think it was illness related.
The mayor was sick on Sunday night.
Um, but I did send them off the monthly credit special unit update because I told them I would supply that to them as we got it. So the last Greater Freeport Partnership meeting was on August 24th. They gave a visitor center update. The prospective purchaser for that property is no longer interested. Some costs outweigh what he had planned to put into the building. So they're still on the market. They talked. Oh, go ahead.
Did they disclose what he was looking to put in
He
there?
wanted to put a distillery in,
Oh,
and like a small distillery, but have enough to supply. And the fire marshal said it would have had to, the water system, the well that's out there with. It was a lot more infrastructure for the sprinkler system that they would need for that grade of alcohol. So, but that was what the planned. They talked a lot about the, after going through their strategic planning, the event criteria for all the events that they have to rate their success and what impact they've made, or that those events are making to try to plan for future. Through that, they determined that cruise night is probably something that they would look for a different organization to host that they would help supplement, but that it didn't fit their criteria. And last week we got an email that Barco has stepped up to sponsor that moving forward. So they will work in tandem. It will no longer be a GFP event moving forward. The chairman, treasurer, and I were all at a ribbon cutting for the new location of FACC last Friday. Really nice facility. The location, I think, will be really good and so much easier for accessibility for, Amy, the director out there, was talking about the accessibility with where that location is now and where they can store things. There's furniture as well, and some grants that she's worked on. So it was a good event. There's a ribbon cutting tomorrow for a small business downtown that's relocating. Update on the strategic planning subcommittees. All of them have met. They're still moving forward. Updates. I'm trying to attend the ones I can, other than the one that I signed up for. I was notified last week, the land bank was trying to schedule a meeting this week, and then they sent out new dates again to try to schedule. So we will probably have one before next month, but those aren't scheduled regularly. It's as projects come up for us to meet. So Wally was in this afternoon to give some update and talk about what he will be presenting budget-wise for continued maintenance on the landings and projects. The TCM weekly calls continue. TCM canceled the call this Monday. I did have a meeting with Marcos yesterday, and he and I and Adrian will be meeting Friday afternoon, kind of give him a little bit more information on how the budgets from our standpoint work, what information we have, supplemental requests, those sorts of things. So things seem to be going good there. The clerk, Nate, or county clerk Nate and I met and had a presentation from one of the board software companies that we were looking at. We're gonna have to do some more research before we bring something forward, but that is still something we're working on. On September 4th, we received notification from UCCI on whether or not we want to participate in salary and fringe benefit surveys. So we submitted our information. We just wait for that portal to open for us to start uploading all of that information. Yesterday, I was on a call for the Safe Streets for All. Those of you may have seen the email I sent out earlier today. That was a follow-up from that. So if you do have time to fill that out, I would appreciate the feedback. Labor negotiations, there was an agreement approved through FOP and through the Public Private Safety Committee on Tuesday. That will be coming to the board next week. We did receive notification earlier this week from the Highway Department. So those negotiations will be beginning. We'll have dates for those soon. The circuit clerk's contract is still expiring this year as well. I will be attending an ethics training through my professional organization webinar tomorrow. And this morning's department head meeting, Carrie Whipple from the health department did present information on a grant they received for providing cancer screenings at little to no cost to the public. And they're going to roll it out through their department and then offer it to county employees, board members, and the public. So she explained that a little bit to us and the process. They're still working out a few kinks before they put it live, but those funds need to be spent for the end of the year. So that will be an announcement shortly. And thanks to Nate, he's putting together that employee satisfaction retention survey for me to get out. He sent me a draft. I have not been able to get back to him to say, go for it. So that is yeah.
It's a lot. All right, keep moving here. 7.5, IT manager.
I won't get into a whole lot. I guess I'm gonna open it up for questions. The two things that I really have is obviously the boardroom last month, all the new changes with the cameras and such. So I don't know if anybody watched that to see how different it is and just what it looks like, but it's a huge improvement over what we had. So I think the board issues we had last month with the internet ties into my current issue. I am the worst one when it comes to luck and coincidence because I thought it was a change I may have made that night to avoid that happening again. And I've had nothing but problems since. And I've been chasing this for 3 or 4 weeks now. And today discovered that it's probably another router on our, actually I know it's another router on our network. I just can't tell where and I don't have credentials to get into it. So I sent out a thank you letter today. Asking them to unplug it, remove it if they don't want to admit it. But they basically hooked it up backwards and instead of taking in network settings, it's trying to hand them out. So computers every morning try to connect and they don't know who to connect to. And I'm having to go and release all these machines and renew them and get them up before court starts. I'm ready to pull my hair out. So hopefully whoever it is, I had theories. I shook a few people down today and they weren't it. So I don't know where it's at this point. I'll continue to plug through it because I am off starting next Friday for a week, so I'd like to have this resolved and done before I'm gone, but until someone fesses up, or I keep following Wi-Fi signals around the courthouse, hoping I can catch something somewhere, but so far, no luck. Tomorrow morning will give me more of a outlook as to whether or not it's been unplugged, if everything just connects and works. And obviously, I'm gonna give it a few days. I'm not just gonna trust one day, but if we get a few days in a row, then I know we're probably good. But if it's still broke, I will try to take the next step in trying to locate this. But it's a needle in a haystack right now without people fessing up to it. I'm just kind of guessing and trying to find it.
I think it's in the building over there somewhere.
It has to be something that connects to the circuit clerk network, which is a bunch of offices due to imaging. So I know it's not. I went through the circuit clerk's office, pretty much the judges today. At this point, I can't tell where it's at. My guess is somebody didn't think they had enough Wi-Fi for their cell phone or something and brought something in on their own, plugged it in and plugged it in backwards, and now are causing me an issue. And so I have to just kind of go and find it. I wish there was some way for me to remotely kill it.
Right.
But since it's hardwired, I really can't at this point. So I will keep plugging away at that. So that's all I have, unless you have some questions.
I actually have a question.
Okay.
About the CrowdStrike.
Yep.
Debacle last month. Did that affect us at all?
Oh, it did. It did, but what I want to point out to everybody is people automatically jumped to a hack theory, which I get. It was basically a careless employee at CrowdStrike that put out a bad update. Didn't test it, they just ran with it, and then it broke everybody. But one of my IT buddies from another company was like, "Hey, does this affect you?" And I'm like still waking up, and I'm like, I don't know. And then someone sent me something, and then I put two together and took a 5-minute shower and called 3 Rock, and we pretty much had everything up and going by the time court and everything was happening.
Oh,
So
I really tried.
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm convinced we're fine. I know some people don't care for CrowdStrike, but it's what the government suggests, and especially for the election offices and such. So I think to change, we'd have to run 2 different products to be sufficing with what Jasmine has to do and everything else. So I don't think changing at this point makes a whole lot of sense, but I get it was a very irritating day for myself as well. But I think that guy no longer works there. And I'm guessing they have a lot of parameters set in place now that one person can't just throw an update out there. So hopefully.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, very good. Alrighty, let's move on. 7.6, report strategic planning, effective government focus group.
So we met back on the 26th. A lot of it was kind of rehashing what we had talked about last month, trying to figure out a grant writing situation and an HR situation. A lot of our attention was focused on grant writing because it seemed like that's something we could tackle pretty quickly. We had a couple different questions about it. One, if we wanted to, as we talked about, start like a trial internship kind of thing, where should we look for the funding for that? Where could we even begin to guess how much we have to potentially throw around? And that might not be an easy question, because in our discussion, we talked about maybe that's something that's shared among department heads. If it goes full county-wide, but that's before we can do much, we have to address that, obviously. The other issue potentially down the line is, I know we talked about the timeline of grants, and that a lot of the grants that we're seeing have about 45 days. And because that's go through the committee and then the full board and then yada, 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 we're missing a lot of grants. And so if we can develop some kind of grant writing position, maybe they could have authority to streamline that process, through whatever mechanism, so that we're not missing so many opportunities. Um,
No, I was just gonna say that with grants that come through the government, when they have such a short window, to respond, you basically have to know exactly beforehand what you're looking for, what you want to get done, and how much it's gonna cost. You have to have everything all ready to go. Ready to go. So when that window comes, you can send that out immediately. It can be approved already. It's a proposal. You know, I mean, there's some that are like 5 days, you got 5-day turnaround to get this in. But that proposal should already be approved and ready to go out the door.
Pretty much written.
Yeah, oh yeah, it has to be written and ready to go out the door.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and I think that, how to address those quick turnarounds and where it's not eating up the department head's time is really where a lot of the focus was. One other thing, and I didn't bring this up at the subcommittee because I just found out about it yesterday. But one idea we had was to use global resources, Highland College. And I talked to some of the English faculty and said, hey, would you have any students that might be interested in an entry-level internship that we're not even sure would take off? And I already have a name to potentially, we emailed a couple times. The student seems very interested. So if we can get this moving, we might be able to staff it again on a trial basis pretty quickly. Jasmine, did I miss anything?
I just had one comment. It's probably been 2-3 weeks ago. Had a conversation with Andrea Schultz Winter from GFP. We were kind of talking about how this grant stuff works, and and so there's a possibility of maybe sharing a grant right between them and us or something. And
Yeah,
we kind of think. Did you guys
we mentioned that possibility. Did Tim say he was gonna?
Yeah, and we listed a couple organizations that we could reach out to, and one of the individuals on the committee.
Okay.
Had said they could reach out.
Yeah, I don't have any details or all that would work, but it was like, well, maybe there's a possibility we could share that resource or something.
And there again, that was brought up too. And I think optimistically, our hope is there would be enough grants to go around. There'd be more work for just one person. But especially using systems that already exist. Yeah, we're trying to reach out to organizations that already have systems and see what we can copy rather than invent.
And the new gentleman with the GFP, John, who came on board, he has a grant writing background.
Okay, good.
So that might actually come in handy. I met with Andrea on Monday. We talked just a little bit about that.
Okay, good.
Economic development subcommittee. Which is still open for anyone who wants to become part.
Yeah, and that's been the focus of that subcommittee for the time being.
Thank you. Nice report. All right. Let's go on to 8.0 old business and 8.1 review and approval of proposed fiscal year 25 budgets. And the first one is administrative services.
I was gonna say, I did pass out
Yep.
copies. I went over it pretty well last month. You can go over it again if you'd like, or if anyone has any questions. Nothing has changed since we looked at it last month. So,
My plan is to really only go over the changes if needed, otherwise we might be.
nope, that's
Okay, unless there's some questions about anything, we did, okay, so this is good. Should be good to go. 3%, 4%. We can do these one at a time, and we can put them in a bucket at the end, I don't care. Let's do them all one, let's do it one at a time, and then we'll know which one we didn't do, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Move approval.
I will second it.
Okay, any more conversation?
It's pretty straight.
All those in favor to send it on to finance on Monday, say aye.
Aye.
Move. Okay, next, IT.
All right, I think I handed out a budget for everyone. No, I'm not happy. So, Sure. I did make some changes to kind of what we discussed last month a little bit. I changed the salary line for mine. It's still the 4% COLA, but we discussed the phone reimbursement. That would also be a part, I guess, of the salary line. I think is that how it's done or no? It's not.
It's the,
Be like office supplies.
You can't,
it was a stipend.
we can't tax that, you know, what I
Oh,
mean?
it's a
So
stipend.
it's not part of the salary.
Okay.
So maybe under telephone internet.
Okay, I can do it however needed. I thought I heard someone say it was part of payroll, so I probably
We
misunderstood.
process it through payroll, but it's not actually compensation because it's
Okay.
reimbursement.
Gotcha.
You know what that amount is, Nate?
It was $75 a month, I think, is what home reimbursements is.
So we need to move that
$900 total.
900. So we'll move that from the top line down to telephone.
Or would it make more sense to make a new one?
I don't think we want to add any more. I think we should utilize what's already there. I just don't want it to look like, because that gives you the impression, if you keep it in salary, that you're actually being paid that.
More.
That is not compensation.
Right.
So that, I don't believe that belongs there.
Do you want to put under training travel?
Telephone. I'd say telephone.
Telephone.
Move it to
Okay,
900.
I'll move that $900 a month,
Okay.
not a month. IT lease payment, I have nothing to do with. That's kind of our line of credit that we're paying back for stuff that Jim got. IT expenses, just the same as what we discussed. Microsoft licensing, I did increase because there's a change in the licensing with Microsoft and what we have to do. So we are going to be charged differently, and we have to make sure that we have enough licenses, because if we get audited, then we get hit with a fine. So that's the reason for the increase there. IT managed services, I did increase it a little bit. I know it looks like we haven't really spent out of that, but I think we were taking it from another line early on, and then we caught it. So I increased that by 5,000 because we have I'm pulling them in more and more because there's just so much going on. So I added 5,000 to that for the year. IT training and travel, I've not spent anything out of. I don't really have time to go to conferences. So I haven't really done nothing. So then telephone and internet's the same, plus the phone reimbursement. And then the financial system is
The same.
that's CIC.
That's same.
CIC. So I don't know if that's supposed to go up, stay the same, or what. I don't see that bill. I
think Adrian probably plugged that in.
So, yeah, I didn't really monkey with that. Now, the one line I want to point out, and this is where the honeymoon's kind of over, is the server maintenance line. I have nothing in there, and I don't know how you want me to proceed on that, whether you want it to be a supplemental or we put a number in there. And I threw out a number to our chairman already earlier this month, and it's going to sound astronomical, but the reason it's that number is because we have to understand the last guy let everything go, and he didn't make sure anything got upgraded. And we have stuff that's out of service, no longer under warranty. We have old equipment that has to be switched out. I dropped the number of like 120,000. 100,000 I'd be willing to, but we have to switch out so many things that are going to cost us because there's maintenance agreements that go along with them. I mean, I really don't want to go into great detail, but I mean, we've got stuff that has to happen. And what he spent money on was not the necessities, and that's a problem.
Foundation.
Yes, it was everything else but the necessities.
I'm sorry, question. Where did we pull this from last year? Service maintenance, yeah.
There wasn't anything, like there was no.
But didn't you have like
planning
a fund that you were pulling from?
I mean, I've got IT expenses that I've been doing stuff out of,
Okay, I don't know.
but I mean, that's not gonna come, it's not gonna come close, unfortunately. I just for reference, the sheriff had a box that they absolutely needed. I sent them the quote and I went with lower than the top one, and it was almost 10 grand. And we have at least 10 of those that we need to replace. You know what I mean, or upgrade, or to get things right and make sure that we're as secure as what we think we need.
All right, so let's make sure that we're giving you what you need. You know what I mean? If you know that you have 10 of those and they're $10,000 a
Here's
piece.
what I'm gonna say, if he would have done things right and he would have just like done a little at a time, they wouldn't all be on the same year. We wouldn't be trying to do this all at once, and we can probably stagger some of these with 3 or 5 year agreements on like the upgrades, the firmware, and things of that nature. We can try to plan ahead, but unfortunately, everything he just didn't do anything with. Nothing. Yes.
If we put 120 in here, how many years before it stabilizes? I mean, you're
I
not
mean,
picking
it's
up the pieces anymore. I mean, I know
after we
constant,
switch up,
but-
yeah, but I mean, once we switch up the equipment, we're no longer vulnerable right now. And then we can start to schematically budget, you know, and to where everything's not on the same timeline. And again, part of this goes back to, it used to be a departmental budget and now it's rolling into an IT budget. So I don't know if there's money elsewhere. I haven't looked at the budget. I don't know if anybody still has money that they used to.
I thought we cleaned all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so,
When we took over, we were also supposed to give you that.
yeah, so,
So Nate, I got a question.
Yes.
If we put the 120 in there this year, what do you think you'll want in there next year? I mean, how many do you
It'll
think
dip.
we'll have to do next year then?
I will say that we probably could cut that in half for maintenance, right? Like, cause you always have to be prepared if, we don't have backup servers laying around here. We don't have, you always have to be prepared, like if something goes down tomorrow, we have to replace it ASAP. So
Okay.
I would say that cuts in half, and I do think it gets better in the long run, but the problem is everything could use to be replaced. We don't have a lot of,
We got this bubble we gotta fix.
yes, and it wouldn't be this had there was a plan before.
Okay.
We're just running into stuff, and sheriff's was the most pressing, and they're paying for theirs, so we're able to move forward with that, but just a lot of holes that we shouldn't have, that I feel like we're just band-aiding stuff when we need to proactively fix it and just know that we have some stability going forward. And that's no fault of you guys. I mean, I just have a hard time laying my finger on one thing that was done in the last 2.5 years.
Well, I think that'll overwhelm when we talk about that on Monday for at the finance meeting. That's like, it's 120 this year, next year too.
So, yeah, I mean, there was just no preventative.
I don't disagree with any of it. You gotta come up with some funding sources, because there's 11 other departments that have the same kind of emergencies. And COVID money is gone, and we're propping up animal control to the tune of what, 70 grand?
Maybe the sheriff's office.
You know, I'm not saying it doesn't need to be done, but this is part of the process. You just go through it, you deem the expense to be something that needs to happen in this committee. You come forward with funding sources on how you're gonna pay for it. You debate it in finance.
Hmm.
I'm 100% in agreement with it.
Yeah.
I mean, IT is something that's so critical, because if something happens, the cost afterwards is gonna be way more than 100 or 120,000. But we can't make any more things and sell any more things. Limited amount of revenue of it.
So we're gonna be able
So don't just approve an expense
Right.
without coming up with a funding source.
And again, I understand that's a decision that happens elsewhere. Understand that. I just want to be on the record. It's letting people know, hey, if something goes sideways, it's because we have old stuff.
Right.
On the stuff. And I already try to be cost effective as possible, because there was another quote that came in way more, and I got the same product. I went out shopping and got it from someone else. And that's one we went with, and it probably saved us. That one was a little exorbitant, but just in the basics, probably $5. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm just because I'm thinking of where money comes from, because I get to see from above. You mentioned in this case that the sheriff paid for his own. if you knew, I'm sure you do know, the other departments where these need to be replaced, is it possible then that there could be some cost sharing from those departments?
There is, I think it just comes down to like the basement at the courthouse runs everybody. So like, do they split the cost for that? Like, I mean, that is a courthouse router that needs to be replaced that supports all the departments. So then do they share it? Does that come out of an IT budget? I mean, again, this is so high because of the neglect. I don't think we would need this every year once we got to a certain place, but I'm dumbfounded by like things that are just they're working, but I mean, they're old.
Yeah.
And it's just been let go, and the sheriff's one is working, but it won't cooperate in any aspect. Like you can't physically get into it. Like it's doing its thing. So it's letting me know like, hey, I'm about to quit. So
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, the conversation was to move all this into a IT budget so that it would be more
and see, I wasn't.
visible.
I don't know that I was here for that, and I agree that it probably happened.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, to me, if I could have returned all that stuff that he purchased with the IT lease, there was a lot of wasted money there, and we'll use that stuff, but again, it wasn't, he went for wants and not needs.
Right.
So it was just completely backwards. I mean, we got 60 Wi-Fi access points that we spent a lot of money on. Wi-Fi is nice, but the backbone of your network needs to come before that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just one final thought. We have not yet paid the city of Freeport or the village of German Valley. Remember, we gave away $1 million. Just keep that in mind.
My idea.
We did,
$1 million.
we did get the invoice from the city.
I have a question. We know the city of Freeport did their project. Do we know if German Valley did theirs?
Not yet.
Yeah, Steve had an update on.
We'll have a
Planning and
updated,
development meeting and an
Thursday?
update on that.
we'll have an updated intergovernmental agreement coming from German Valley. The scope of the project has changed because the seed money that we approved allowed them to obtain, I think it's either IEPA or just EPA grants for other funding. So
That's what Mr. Fritz said on the, I believe, right? Yeah.
And are they in for a full $500,000?
yes, their project exceeds what the grants were awarded plus our $500,000.
And I mean, we can continue to try and piecemeal, as events are happening. It's just a dangerous line to walk. So, it's kind of where I'm at, and I know, like, I've not been able to, like, just sit down and do a full assessment due to everything else that's going on. But we're running into things that just haven't been done. The servers were the first thing we noticed, and we still don't have all those completely upgraded because we may use some of that stuff that he did purchase to move some of them too. So we don't want to spend on a server just to move them to make them more secure. So, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just kind of where we're at.
So I'm looking at this, you don't have any income in this department.
Oh, no.
There's nothing.
It's a produce revenue.
Yeah, so.
Just ask for it, so just remember.
That's how the general fund works.
Yep. I guess what I'm thinking is we're gonna move that 900.
You can fire the IT guy and use his.
We're gonna move that 900 down to telephone and internet. So we have a choice. If we put that in there, we're gonna have to have.
And I wasn't looking for an answer today. I just mean when we go to approve it, I need to know how or what or if.
We're gonna have to have.
And if we don't, I mean, we just try to.
We can leave it open. We can.
Really needs to be a supplemental request, in my mind. This isn't an annual expense. The maintenance may be,
Yeah, the
and
maintenance.
you may not have maintenance year one, maybe year two.
Yeah.
But this way, finance and the full board can debate supplementals across the board. They're being funded through the general fund. Just like we've done in the past, prioritizing.
Okay, and I'll do that. I'm absolutely fine with doing that. I just wasn't. I do think going forward, and it doesn't necessarily have to be this year, it's supplemental, but I agree with Scott, it server maintenance needs to be a line item.
Yeah. we should
Going
add
forward,
in.
that way we can, come up with a plan. Hey, we're gonna do these two this year, and we can just keep it moving, so it's not an exorbitant expense when we get to it, but. Yeah,
I think that's a good workaround. We can talk about that Monday with that. So I would recommend, I guess, that we would move that 900 down the telephone and then we'll leave that blank right now. And then Monday at the finance committee, we'll bring up the subject of 120 supplemental for this.
yep, I'll get that done, before.
Up to 120.
Well, yeah,
Do you need that by Monday?
We usually don't look at those until
October.
Okay.
we probably have that some of that conversation. Okay, so
We're not gonna approve this. Or we,
I think we're gonna approve it,
approve it with that amendment.
okay,
approve it with that $900 change and then we'll. Is that clear?
Still create the line, just leave it at.
Create the line, but leave it empty and move the 900. Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with amendment.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved. It's. Oh. All right. How about the president?
I didn't even print any
You
copies.
didn't update yours at all,
Nothing
so-
changed
Yep.
whatsoever, not even a penny for minutes
That's,
discussion.
And I make a motion.
Yeah, right here. I think.
We looked at it last.
We looked at it last month.
Right.
Yeah.
The general fund and then the treasure automation fund 46.
And I make a motion that we send this to finance on treasure on Monday.
Second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Now we are at county clerk and recorder.
The only changes that I made from last night was in both the county clerk and recorder and election salary line items. I did add an additional 1.5% increase. I also in the packet include some supplemental information to justify the reason why. The UCCI is in there as well as some additional local government entities in their thing. And then the other line that changed was the polling place accessibility line item. Last month, the grant had not yet been released. Since then, it has been released, and that's the amount that I plan to apply for, granting it's approved. The grant manager said she hopes to make it a priority. They're due on September 20th, make it a priority the following week. So by October's meeting, I should have a concrete number of what was approved.
Expenses. Nice work getting that work done today.
For you guys to help, the reason we didn't do the 2% was some of the individuals during the election season work more than 35 hours. So that would put them over a 6% annual increase. So that's why we did the 1.5.
We have that big issue dealing with it. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second.
I'll second.
Any other questions or anything? Okay. Yeah, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved. All right, we've got election expense as well. Or did we do that one?
That was
Did
just,
that one together?
yeah. that was the one that-
Okay.
Yeah.
We did mechanical,
Nothing has changed since last month.
nothing's changed on that one. That's good. That's gonna be easy.
Do we need to make a motion for that one?
Sure.
Make a motion that we accept the mechanical document storage budget and send it to finance.
Like. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we're at supervisor assessment.
I went over everything last month. The only thing that I had changed is I gave you the, for the personnel, request one, I didn't have the, percentages for the, IMRF and the social security. So the numbers included it, and they worked out. So I didn't change anything on my budget. It just gives you a breakdown of what the additional 2% and Mr. or Chairman asked me to do in his email what they would be making per hour. And then how many hours, and both of them were 35 hours.
Yeah, reason why I did that because what your reference material is based on hourly and so.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so that's, and then I did obviously give you the reasonings on the UCI,
Right.
no CCI, and I do have one employee that is been there for 20-some years, and she's making just about as much as what we're hiring.
Yeah, that's tough. So, yeah, I think this helps, wages and inflation and everything else going on and help get us up a little bit without going over that 6%.
Absolutely.
Thing.
I tried to do as much as I could, so. But other than that, the only other things that have changed are the contracts, like with the DevNet and different things. And unfortunately, I don't have any control because things are going up that way. So, and then I think the only other thing in the GIS budget, I had to add like $2,500, but we get for the internet taken out, and we have to update our maps, and that for our GIS department that we go through Winges. So those are sort of contracts too. So, and of course they want more money to host the.
Okay.
Go ahead and make a motion to approve. And second, and the GIS as well.
Aye.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right. And we have board review
And I didn't change anything on that
on that one. Okay.
because we gave them a substantial raise last year. So that's exactly the same as it was last year.
Okay, so I motion to approve the Board of Review budget to be sent over to finance.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Let's go on to 9.0 new business. And first item up is 9.1 approval of quote from Ninja One.
Another meeting at 6 o'clock. So.
Try to get going here.
Yeah, we got 4 minutes, and then you're gonna lose your quorum.
I know.
So what I have in front of you, you guys have it, right?
Yep.
Right in brain is supposed to so. Basically, we have backups in this county that I don't control, I don't really see, and I don't have a confidence level with the way we are currently doing them. I want to consolidate them all with Ninja, who is our current ticketing system that will allow us to where I have control of them, I can see them, and have a confidence that we are 100% backed up. We have the ability to do local backups and offsite backups, and they are, I forget the word, but basically they're tamper proof. So once we have a backup, get hacked the next day, we'll be able to go back a day and be back up and running. So I thought that was pretty reasonable. I think they're charging us $15. It's like $15 per server and then like $19 per terabyte. So what I want you guys to understand is over time, that number is going to continue to grow the more information we have. But this is pretty seamless. And if you guys vote this through this evening, I plan on starting it tomorrow so I can have a peace of mind. So that's what I'm looking to do. Eventually, these departments, I'm not going to have them do it right away, but the ones that are paying for other backups will be able to cancel those and save some money there. I don't know what they're paying, but I have ran into offices that thought they were backing up, and then when I go and look, they hadn't backed up. in quite some time, and there was one that I managed to fix the backup a day before. They had an issue and we were luckily able to recover what they needed. But I want something to send me an email if their backups fail, like I want to know what's going on. And right now, we're so divided between vendors that I want to consolidate
And
everything.
you said you had a line item that this is coming out.
Yeah, it's just basically gonna come out of my IT expenses for this year, and then that's why I kind of increased, either our contract, the contract sole expenses I raised due to this as well.
So, I have a question first. So you said that the other departments are using other things to back up. So that money next year should go back into your budget.
Not, I mean, that's up to you guys. I'm not trying to take their budgets. I don't know what they're paying them out of.
So
So,
we can't keep adding to your budget and not taking from someone else's
Take it
budget.
out of the.
Yeah, that's-
budget.
I mean,
I'm not,
We just keep
That's-
adding to your
that's
budget
reality.
and we're like, where are we gonna get this
I
from?
don't want pitchforks and flames coming after that. I'm just saying that I want to take those on. I think it's a reasonable cost and there should be savings elsewhere. I can't tell you what that dollar amount is or what they're paying. Cause I don't see their budgets or see those bills, but I want the peace of mind of knowing they all go through me, that I see them and that I know we're good.
Okay,
And that's no fault of some of these companies. Some of them are really good. Others have let licenses expire. And I have to stay on top of them. So I just want to know that I've got it and I'm confident in what we're doing.
okay. And I gotta go. I have 1 minute before my next one starts. So I make a motion to approve the Ninja One.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Okay, we got 30
Yep.
seconds.
Yeah, the voter registration grant is the same from the last year. I just need approval. I send the expense to the state and they will send the reimbursement.
Yeah.
Half of that cost is, actually a fixed cost. The $24,000 to my voter registration program each year, we're getting reimbursed for it.
Okay.
The next grant, you got your. Any questions on that one?
If you want, you can talk about the second one, because I don't think most.
The second one's a little more complicated, but.
Okay.
The second one, to apply for the polling place accessibility grant, you'll see last year we got 10,000, previous years we didn't go for it. It's $195,000. Don't know if we will get approved for it all. The plan is if we do get approved, we will do intergovernmental agreements with those local government entities. In those agreements, we will set dates of when they have to show us the proof of payment to the vendor. Then we can submit that, we can reimburse them and submit it to the state. But they will have to show us proof of payment by a certain date so we can comply with the state as well.
Sounds good.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to approve both those
All
last
right.
two items.
Second that?
9.2, 9.3. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So when, before you go to 120,000, if you just want to make a motion.
No.
Okay,
Denied.
This number
10.0,
laid it all out.
comments from committee members, anybody?
Denied.
Denied.
Yeah, Denied.
11.0, denied.
Denied.
Well, there's nobody here, and 12.0 adjournment.
Motion?
All right, I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
Sticking around for 1 minute.
Yeah, downstairs my next.
Did you get an email today?
The video perfect. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.